Alexander Voss pushed open the heavy oak doors of his sprawling estate, the weight of another boardroom victory hanging on his shoulders like an ill-fitting coat, his custom Italian loafers clicking against the polished granite floors that reflected the dim glow of recessed lighting. The house, a monument to success built on tech innovations that had made him a millionaire many times over, yet echoing with a hollowness that no amount of wealth could fill, rain drumming against the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking manicured gardens, mirroring the storm in his mind as he shrugged off his trench coat, the scent of leather and cologne mingling with the sterile air of a home more museum than haven. It, having been 3 years since his wife's tragic accident, a car crash that claimed her life and left their son Theo, then an infant, with unexplained paralysis in his legs, doctors attributing it to psychological trauma rather than physical damage, prescribing endless therapies that yielded nothing but frustration and mounting bills. Theo, now 4, spending his days in a custom wheelchair, his bright blue eyes staring out with a quiet resignation that pierced Alexander's heart. The boy who once babbled endlessly, now communicating in whispers and gestures, the house staff, a revolving door of nannies and aides, treating him like a delicate artifact rather than a child bursting with potential, Alexander having buried himself in work, acquiring companies and sealing deals across continents, convincing himself that providing financially was enough. But the silence greeting him each evening telling a different story, the estate's vast rooms filled with toys untouched and laughter absent. That afternoon, however, something being different. A faint melody drifting from the playroom, rhythmic clapping and soft encouragements breaking the monotony, curiosity pulling him toward the source like a lifeline in the fog, peering through the cracked door, freezing. Theo, his frail frame usually confined to cushions, propped on the carpet, legs extended in an awkward but determined pose, facing Nia Harper, the new black maid hired just weeks ago through a discreet agency, her uniform apron tied loosely over jeans, her coiled hair framing a face lit with genuine warmth, Nia humming a gentle tune from her childhood lullabies, holding a colorful ball just out of reach, encouraging Theo with words soft as velvet, "Come on, little one. You can reach it, feel the ground under you. It's steady like your heartbeat." Theo's face, usually pinched with effort or defeat, blooming into a tentative smile, his small hands pushing against the floor as his knees bent slightly, a micro-movement that sent Alexander's pulse racing, for this was more progress than any specialist had coaxed in months, Nia not noticing Alexander at first, her focus entirely on the boy, her methods unorthodox, no charts, no equipment, just intuitive play drawn from her own experiences growing up in a bustling foster home where resources were scarce but imagination abundant. As Theo inched forward, giggling at the ball's roll, Alexander stepping in, his voice a mix of awe and disbelief. "What? How are you doing this?" Nia looking up, unflinching, her dark eyes meeting his with quiet confidence. "Mr. Voss, it's not about doing, it's about being. Theo's been waiting for someone to meet him where he is, not where we think he should be." Alexander kneeling beside his son, who turned and extended a hand, the simple gesture flooding him with emotion he hadn't felt since before the accident, tears pricking as he realized the experts had missed what this unassuming woman grasped instinctively, over tea in the kitchen later. As Theo napped, exhausted but content, Nia sharing fragments of her story, a single mother who lost her job during economic downturns, taking maid work to support her dreams of child psychology studies, her approach informed by caring for a disabled sibling who thrived through playful encouragement rather than rigid routines. Alexander listening, his guarded demeanor cracking, admitting his failures. "I've thrown money at this top therapist's experimental treatments, but nothing touched his spirit like you did today." Nia nodding, "Money buys tools, but healing needs heart. Theo's paralysis isn't just in his legs, it's in the fear we've all fed him." The conversation stretching into evening, Alexander canceling meetings for the first time in years, intrigued by Nia's insights and humbled by her resilience. The house feeling less empty as laughter's echo lingered, marking the dawn of change where impossibility began to yield to hope, the rain outside tapering to a drizzle, as if the skies themselves acknowledged the shift within these walls. Alexander, reflecting on his wife's final words about cherishing moments over milestones, words he had ignored in his grief, now resonating as Nia's presence breathed life into stagnant routines. Theo's small victories, a harbinger of greater transformations, the silent house awakening not with grand gestures but with the subtle power of connection, Nia retiring to her quarters with a sense of purpose, unaware how her simple acts would ripple outward, challenging Alexander's worldviews shaped by privilege and isolation, his phone buzzing with ignored calls from associates. But for once, he letting them go unanswered, prioritizing the boy who had just shown him the first glimmer of mobility, the estate's grandeur feeling less imposing, more like a canvas for new beginnings. As night fell, Alexander tucking Theo in, lingering longer than usual, whispering promises of presence, the child's peaceful sleep a testament to the day's magic. Nia overhearing from the hallway, smiling softly before slipping away, her own dreams interwoven with this family's fate. The chapter of awakening, setting the stage for deeper explorations of trust and healing in the days to come. With the initial spark ignited, Nia Harper dove deeper into her unconventional regimen, transforming the Voss Estate's playroom into a sanctuary of sensory exploration, colorful mats scattered like islands of adventure, soft fabrics draped for tactile discovery, her days blending cleaning duties with dedicated sessions for Theo, whose curiosity blossomed under her guidance, Alexander observing from afar at first, his skepticism giving way to fascination as he witnessed incremental victories, the boy grasping for toys with newfound determination, his legs twitching in rhythm to music. Nia played from her homeland's folk tunes, conflicts arising from the household staff. The veteran housekeeper, Mrs. Probably, Klein whispering doubts about that girl's unproven methods, her biases thinly veiled in concerns over proper protocols, pressuring Alexander to reinstate formal therapy. But he resisting, drawn to Nia's results and her unyielding belief in Theo's potential. One afternoon, amid a game of mirror mimicry, where Nia exaggerated movements to encourage imitation, Theo pushing himself to a kneeling position, his laughter ringing as he mirrored her waves, Alexander entering just in time to capture the moment on his phone, his voice choked. "He's engaging like never before. How do you know what he needs?" Nia, explaining her philosophy, rooted in empathy from her siblings' similar struggles, "It's about trust. Force creates resistance, but joy builds bridges," sharing stories of her community's resourcefulness, where limited access to care fostered creative solutions like group play circles for challenged children. Alexander opening up in turn, revealing the accident's aftermath, his wife's death plunging him into grief-fueled workaholism, neglecting Theo's emotional needs. I thought providing was parenting, but I was wrong, their dialogues evolving into evening walks in the gardens, Theo wheeling alongside, the air filled with budding connection, tensions peaking when a renowned specialist visited at Mrs. Klein's insistence, dismissing Nia's games as frivolous, recommending intensive sessions that left Theo withdrawn and tearful. Alexander confronting the divide, firing Mrs. Klein for undermining progress, affirming to Nia, "Your way works, it's real, not scripted." Nia's backstory unfolding gradually, confiding in Alexander about her own losses, a brother who overcame odds through communal support, inspiring her to pursue psychology despite barriers. Her Black heritage shaping a resilience against systemic dismissals, Theo's advancements accelerating. Rolling to crawling transitions, supported stands against furniture, each milestone celebrated with homemade treats Nia baked. Infusing the house with warmth, Alexander's transformation mirroring his son's, delegating business to attend sessions, learning to play without agenda. Their trio forming tentative bonds amid laughter and small triumphs. Nia grappling with growing affection for both, questioning boundaries in a world quick to judge interracial dynamics in elite circles. One evening after Theo's bedtime story, Alexander pouring wine in the study, the fire crackling as they discussed dreams. Nia's aspirations for a clinic serving underserved kids. Alexander's regrets over missed family time, the conversation turning personal, his hand lingering on hers, a spark igniting that neither shied from. Yet Nia pulling back slightly. We come from different worlds. This could complicate things for Theo. Alexander reassuring, worlds collide to create new ones. Let's see where this leads. Their first kiss tentative under the stars on the balcony, a release of pent-up emotions that blended gratitude with genuine desire. Conflicts externalizing as media caught wind of the miracle Maid. Paparazzi lurking at gates, articles speculating on the Voss heir's unconventional healer, Nia facing online trolls questioning her credentials and motives, her skin color weaponized in comments, but Alexander shielding her with public statements praising her impact, strengthening their resolve. Theo's first assisted steps across the room marking a turning point, his glee infectious as he collapsed into Nia's arms, Alexander joining the hug, the three entwined in a moment of pure unity, Nia introducing cultural elements, storybooks from African folklore, rhythmic dances adapted for Theo's mobility exercises, enriching his world beyond clinical confines, Alexander embracing the diversity, attending community events with her, broadening his perspectives on privilege and equity, internal doubts surfacing for Nia during a quiet night. Confiding in Alexander about fears of being seen as the help who climbed the ladder. Him countering with vulnerability. You're the ladder that lifted us all, their relationship deepening through shared vulnerabilities. Weekend getaways to secluded cabins where Theo explored nature trails with adaptive gear. Laughter echoing as barriers dissolved, the chapter of trust, building not just Theo's legs but the foundations of a family redefined by empathy and courage, Nia's influence rippling outward as Alexander funded pilot programs based on her techniques, inviting specialists to observe, bridging gaps between formal medicine and intuitive care. Theo's progress inspiring staff turnover toward more compassionate hires. The estate buzzing with renewed energy. Alexander proposing small changes like family dinners where conversations flowed freely. Nia teaching him recipes from her grandmother. Flavors of spice and soul infusing meals that symbolized their blending lives. Challenges like Theo's occasional setbacks, frustration tantrums when balance failed met with joint patience. Nia guiding Alexander through emotional support strategies, their partnership a model of collaborative parenting, the trust forged in these steps paving paths for unforeseen futures. Where impossibility bowed to persistent heart, the narrative weaving threads of growth that promised enduring strength. The breakthrough arrived unannounced on a sun-drenched morning, Theo pulling himself upright using Nia's steady hands, his first unaided steps wobbling across the room into Alexander's waiting arms, tears streaming as father and son embraced, Nia's eyes glistening with pride, the moment capping months of persistent effort that redefined impossibility. With Theo's mobility unlocked, the family dynamic shifting irreversibly, Alexander proposing a formal role for Nia as Theo's developmental guide. But emotions deepening into romance, shared glances evolving into dates disguised as outings for Theo zoo visits where the boy toddled freely, picnics under ancient oaks discussing futures. Victoria's memory lingering as a gentle shadow. Alexander honoring her through a foundation for trauma-affected children, Nia contributing curricula based on her techniques, their collaboration yielding workshops that gained national acclaim, drawing experts who once doubted now endorsing play-based healing, challenges emerging from external scrutiny, media probing the miracle Maid's influence, paparazzi lurking at gates, articles speculating on the Voss heir's unconventional healer, Nia facing online trolls questioning her credentials and motives, her skin color weaponized in comments, but Alexander shielding her with public statements praising her impact, strengthening their resolve. Theo thriving, enrolling in inclusive schools, his story inspiring a book co-authored by Nia and Alexander, royalties funding scholarships for underrepresented caregivers, the engagement announced amid supportive cheers from reformed staff and Nia's family, the wedding intimate on the estate grounds, blending cultures Nia's African rhythms with Alexander's classical touches, vows under a canopy of lights, Liam as flower boy scattering petals with steady strides, years later the Voss legacy expanding. Another child adopted. The foundation growing into a network of centers. Nia earning her degree and leading programs. Alexander balancing empire with home, their bond a testament to love's transformative power, where steps once impossible became pathways to endless tomorrows. Theo growing into a confident teen advocating for disabled youth at conferences, his early struggles a badge of honor shared in motivational speeches, Nia and Alexander traveling globally to implement their model in underserved communities. From urban clinics in bustling cities to rural outposts where resources were scarce, their family vacations doubling as volunteer trips. Theo bonding with siblings over adventures that tested limits and built character. Public life bringing accolades, a TED Talk for Nia on healing through play. Alexander's company pivoting to inclusive tech like adaptive apps inspired by Theo's journey, yet private joys grounding them. Holiday traditions fusing Nia's heritage feasts with Alexander's quiet reflections. Bedtime stories where Theo now read to younger ones, echoing the cycles of growth. Challenges like media scandals resurfacing old doubts, a rival firm leaking distorted narratives about Nia's opportunistic rise, but unity prevailing through joint press conferences where Theo spoke eloquently. My family taught me to walk, not just with legs, but with heart, disarming critics and amplifying their message. Nia's foundation evolving into policy influence, lobbying for better access to holistic therapies in schools. Alexander leveraging connections to secure funding, their home a hub for retreats where families like theirs found solace and strategies. Anniversaries marked with quiet renewals, renewing vows in the playroom where it all began. Theo beaming as he witnessed the enduring love that shaped him, legacy extending as Theo pursued medicine, specializing in pediatric neurology, crediting Nia's intuitive wisdom as his North Star, the adopted siblings thriving in arts and activism, one launching a non-profit for foster care reform drawing from Nia's stories, Alexander retiring early to mentor young entrepreneurs, emphasizing empathy over empire building, Nia authoring follow-up books on resilient parenting, bestsellers that sparked global dialogues on overlooked healers in society, their twilight years spent in a cozy wing of the estate, grandchildren toddling the same halls Theo once conquered, laughter perpetual, the impossible now a family lore passed down like heirlooms, Alexander whispering to Nia on starlit evenings, "You didn't just make him walk, you made us soar." Her hand in his a constant anchor. The bonds forged enduring beyond time, a narrative of triumph, where every step forward honored the quiet revolutions of the heart, inspiring generations to embrace the extraordinary in the everyday. The Voss story, a beacon that illuminated paths for countless others, navigating shadows of doubt and despair.